Thank you very much indeed, Monica. I can only reinforce what you've said, because let's shape this to give the very, very best deliverables for PRAC to assist decision making. So we've had 3 really interesting different presentations, all with the theme of strengthening stakeholder engagement. So the floor is open for any questions or points or reflections. So Barbara, you were first, and then Marita, and then...
Well, AGE, which I represent, is a more consumer organization. It's an umbrella organization for organizations for older people in Europe. And when we have been asked to find a patient, we run into difficulties, because to find someone who is typical to send here and also who speaks the English language so that so that he or she can participate. So somehow we feel that we have to have a network of patient organizations to whom we can go to try to find. And I think this is a problem for many of the organizations for older people to do this. So we have to systematize this. I have no answer how to do it, but it's a problem.
But an interesting reflection. I don't know if Natalie wants to offer your perspective.
I mean, yes, obviously that is one of the challenges that we have, but you know, I can say luckily nowadays across Europe people are getting better at languages, and so far we've managed to find enough who can speak English enough. But I think this is something as well we'd always look again in the future, whether we need to implement some kind of extra translation options.
Good. So there's thinking going on. Hildren?
Yes, I have a suggestion, and I think, okay, older people, but they're also becoming more and more empowered. I think it will change over time, but I think to really set up training programs for them, you know, we have the example of, well, of course, the stars of this is Eurodis, because they're really motivated and there's a very close community. But I think there has to be some training program to empower people, older people, to take an interest in that. And somehow I'd like to see some money put into this, not by the EMA, but by, well, Sanko, whatever Sanko's future now is, or, you know, because this is really an investment that needs to be served by public funds.
So a strong call for support. Yeah. Marita?
Yeah.
And then Christina.
I have a question either to Monica or to you, June. And maybe I should say my name is Marita Smigelov from Novo Nordisk, representing Europa Bio. With regard to the majority voting, which you emphasize that this will be the outcome, will PRAC have to follow the majority voting outcome, or is it just a guidance for PRAC who can take another decision? And I have a short
your
question.
Question, if I may clarify, is in relation to the hearings.
It's the public hearing, yes.
Yes. Well, our standard process is to follow majority. I think that would apply. Monica, do you want to?
I think the decision here is, will there be a public hearing or not? So if the PRAC votes on it, and even if it's by majority, then it would apply. There would be a public hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My question is because in US with the outcome, it's not necessary. That is just public hearing.
You're
is
thinking
just
ahead to if the outcome of the hearing is in a way different from what the PRAC conclusion is.
Yeah.
Yes, that's an interesting challenge. And you've heard from Monica that the assessments will have to show due regard to what has come out of the public hearing and in a sense justify, in the same way as you're aware of examples when perhaps CHMP or CMDH have had different perspectives, justify the evidence on which that has been the position. Peter?
Well, just to confirm that the public hearing won't be organised unless it's felt critically important to get the input from public stakeholders. Therefore, I think it will be a key driver of the PRAC recommendations. However, there are other aspects which may not have been the particular feature of the public hearing discussion, which may be other drivers. So it may not be a one-to-one correlation between what might appear like an overall message coming from a public hearing and the final PRAC recommendation.
My second short question regarding majority voting at a public hearing. Has patients and HCPs voting rights, or is it just an input?
The members,
Yeah, the
patient
members
and health
of PRAC,
professional
yeah.
members of PRAC are full voting members.
Full voting, thank you.
Yes. Members.
Yeah,
Monica?
yeah, thanks.
May I just, I think there's probably a little bit of confusion. When we talk of voting, it really is only within the context of the PRAC's decision whether or not to hold a public hearing. Our public hearings are different to the FDA advisory committees. I know there are, at the end, there are votes, or there is some kind of consensus or votes being taken. Now, this is not what we have in mind. I think our public hearings, again, it's about gathering views and feeding these views into the PRAC decision, but it is the PRAC that takes the decisions in camera. So they will not, the PRAC will not vote in public on whether or not they go with the views raised in the public hearings.
But the report that will be issued
Yeah.
will take account and show how that account has been woven into the final position. And the health professional and patient members of PRAC are voting members in camera.
Thank you so much.
Christina.
Hello again. Public hearings are really a good tool to engage consumers and to see their views and the risk minimizations and how they use the medicines. But I also have the same concern that Barbara, that conducting a hearing only in English could be a problem in engaging people, because most people don't speak English, or if they speak, can speak barely, not only in case of elderly, but especially in elderly that are a massive use of medicines, and you are not bringing their views in. What I think is that a new solution should be thought, namely thinking of having these public hearings in the national agencies, so in their own language, and then they bring the views to the PRAC. That could be an idea. Another thing is about the location. That could be also a problem. If we are in a era of 2.0, maybe now we are 3.0, digital locations to have the public hearing should be better, because I don't know if payments are foreseen for people that are going to be in these public hearings. And if not, you are having only people that have the ability to pay a travel to London and to stay here. Therefore, you have people that have more higher social class than others, and you are not viewing all the spectrum of the population. And finally, I have a question that is, if the observers, not the speakers, are allowed to do questions in the public hearing.
Thank you very much. So 3 important aspects. We've already touched on the language one, and we've heard how EMA is already thinking ahead in that regard. The support for attendance, and these are very real issues, and there may be other modalities that may help with that, and we've heard about that. And location you mentioned as well. So I imagine around the member states, there's a lot of conversations going about whether to follow on and hold the national public hearings. But the focus at the moment is all on what we will do at EU level. And I think it's time also to pay respect to the many European level organisations for patients who must themselves have to accommodate different languages as patients are active members right throughout EU. Monica, is there anything else you'd like to offer, or are you going to weave those into the responses?
I think this is very relevant, and I think we have, that there have been many discussions about it, and I think we are very much aware of the difficulties some of our constraints pose on others. What I can say is I think we will, obviously we will explore how to make best use of digital technologies on extending that as quickly as we can. I think we probably need to first learn to to walk before we can then run and do something that is actually quite difficult to run in a digital, with digital communication tools. So, but we hear you, and I think it is a great concern, and we want to. I mean, the idea of public hearings is to hear everybody and to have a wide representation.
Once the responses to the consultation are analysed, will EMA be publishing something that addresses the questions?
We will, as with every consultation exercise, we will publish all the comments, and we will also publish how we have addressed the comments or what plans are to address certain comments. So I think this is definitely it's, please do submit them in writing, though. We will take note, but it's very helpful if you also submit this in writing so that we really can collect and respond appropriately.